and Joe sit down to chat. New ideas spark, they can't be that. Podcast fun, fury so grand. Laughter flows, no need for a band. From life stories to wild speculations, each episode brings joy, makes you relaxations. Glaziar gamble, we're off to explore. Laugh and learn, our show is forever. Incredible theories, side by side. Joyful moments.
You can't see it, but I have the darker Glaziar Gamble sign here. One, because I don't know where the white one is. And two, it's pretty dark. Pretty dark episodes.
My wife, when we watched the beginning of the last episode, to show her the new intro and all that, she was like, "It's so cute that he holds up that sign," and I was like, "That's what we're going for."
Cute.
We're just going.
And then he drops the sign and uncovers his face. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!
Oh god!" We could only see the other guy. We were hoping at least one of them was attractive. Shit. Ugh. Speaking of which, welcome to the Ugly Guys podcast, also known as Glaziar Gamble. We love talking superheroes. Thank you for coming by. And usually we talk Marvel and DC. We've talked some Arcane and The Boys in the past. But, you know, we got some superhero stuff to cover now with the newest show, Marvel MCU show, Daredevil on Disney+. Had a 2-episode premiere. Before we get started talking about Daredevil, wanted to remind you all, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought about the episode, let us know what you think about this episode of our show, and make sure you come by every week while we do reviews, breakdowns, and everything that you want to hear about Daredevil. Yeah, let's jump into it. Episodes 1 and 2. I am just going to be straight honest. We are very proud about how positive we are on this show. We have found the positives in everything. Like Madam Web, we tried to say at least one nice thing. Otherwise, everything else we try to find what's good in everything as opposed to what's bad. We will be honest about what we do not like, but I understand why they released this in a 2-episode premiere. While I know that is the norm, so it's kind of just what shows do now. The first episode wasn't very good to me. The second episode I liked.
I thought this premiere was kind of like a really good burger. I loved all of it. I was watching all of it, and I was like, I'm in it. Like, I'm here. Like, this is kind of what I expected. Like, you can't just go all in for a little bit because of, like, it's just hard to explain everything that Daredevil's done in the last however long without doing some of like this episode.
It definitely felt like laying a foundation.
It definitely did, and for this being it's not a one-off Disney Plus show.
Correct. Season 2 is already planned,
already filming. So it's like it's more of a foundational thing because it's setting the tone for the rest of probably the series.
If I saw correctly, they said no matter how the show is received, season 2 is happening.
Right. I mean, they're already like filming it, you know. So, yeah. So I'm fine with the foundation and the groundwork. This thought keeps coming back to my head. I take the premiere as the 2 episodes. So we can judge episode 1 to episode 2, but in the entirety of episodes 1 and 2, I thought it was like a really, really, really good burger. Where like the first bite, you're like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever had, and then the last bite was like also the best you ever had.
Okay.
And I feel like that was the show. Like that was this first 2 episodes. Like the first bite and the last bite to die for, and then everything else is kind of like can't own up to those first and last bites for the two episodes.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yeah. Let's keep it on food because I'm always hungry and used to be way fatter.
Sure.
For me, I would compare it to like a bowl of sugary cereal.
Okay.
Where, again, first bite, you really like it. You're like, wow, crunchy and sweet, and then it almost is immediately like soggy, and you just want to like get this over with. But then you get to drink the super sweet milk when you're done.
Sure.
And the second episode to me felt like it was just all just sweet milk. And the first episode to me was like one bite. I really enjoyed the first I enjoyed the first 15 minutes. The last 45 minutes of episode 1 to me was slow burn world building.
Right. And they have to. I mean,
I'm also going to get this out of the way. It also hit a little too close to home, felt a little too real. And it was like just a little off-putting because I was like, I watch shows to get away from reality, and this feels too real. Where New York is hiring. Why would anybody why would anybody elect a criminal? We're not stupid, and we have proof.
Right. Sure.
So we all just that just felt too real. Obviously that's going to be a consistent trend throughout the show, so you're not going to be able to avoid it. But
that's also similar to like Captain America a little bit.
Yeah.
Too. So, and it's ironic. I mean, like you can't necessarily know the future, but I mean, it definitely both of those aspects of like the Captain America and then now, like definitely.
And look at the people that they portray as the ones who love Fisk as opposed to the ones who dislike Fisk.
Right.
Yeah, like it feels very almost
it is close to home, but like it's also like
in reality.
Yeah, and it's also, but that's also like, toot their own horn for hitting that on the head.
They did, absolutely,
100%.
And like what they're doing to make Fisk look good. So outside of it being like a slow burn world building,
foundation building,
they eventually kept swinging, and eventually they hit the nail on it. Like I was like, all right, now I'm locked in.
Right.
But for the first, I don't know. I tried to watch it Tuesday night, fell asleep. I tried to watch it Wednesday night, fell asleep. And then I tried to watch it Thursday night, and I fell asleep. Or not Thursday night. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and then I tried to watch it again Wednesday night after I woke up from falling asleep, and I fell asleep again. So I had to finish it the next day and then watch the second episode. So I basically watched in like 10-minute increments and then eventually watched it all through.
Sure.
It was hard for me to stay interested in the first episode. But it was necessary. Just like we've talked about in most like Marvel shows or just any show in general, you need to set it up. And a lot of people say pilots are not usually a good episode, which is fine, but I thought it was pretty good. It was just not great. And I don't know, the beginning part with Foggy, RIP, spoiler alert, and like Bullseye, it just like the fight felt a little clunky, but I was fine with that because it's more realistic for fights to be clunky as opposed to super smooth because a fight in real life is clunky. But once they got to like the beginning credits and they did the opening, like that was about 15 minutes in before they started playing the opening Daredevil credits.
Right.
That is when the show like came to a halt, which if you want to like break it down and like analyze it, that's also when Daredevil, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock he made the effort to slow down his life and get rid of the Daredevil part of his life. So it makes sense that it would feel slower and not like as entertaining because
and this
it becomes
is the
a lawyer
story
show.
Getting him. Yeah, he's trying to get him back to. You have to like all this happens like his lifestyle got his friend killed.
Right.
Like got his best friend killed. And so like, yeah, he took that. He's like, I can't do this anymore because I can't see any of the loved ones get hurt.
Dude, you don't need to make a blind joke. Come on.
And so he was blind to it. No, so
he can't see any of his loved ones getting hurt.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I get all the foundational stuff, and like you see it kind of ramp up towards the end, and you're like, all right, like now I'm like, we're getting back into it. Like the whole second episode was like a build up
Yeah.
to it, because like the whole second episode was like, all right, he's having the confrontations with Fisk. Fisk is like, listen, I'm gonna do my thing, like don't get in my way. And Matt Murdock's like, listen, I'm here to get in your way, so don't mess up. So,
Right. See, and maybe it's the side characters that aren't bringing me in a ton, because with the second episode being so much of Kingpin and Matt Murdock all
Right.
together, I felt interested from start to finish.
Right. Exactly.
But
and so the first episode, like, yeah, I mean, it's you had to hit that low point so that you can build up. I get it.
I like Heather so far. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with her, because obviously now she's going to be the therapist for Fisk and his wife.
Right.
But she's also dating Murdock, and clearly the guy that is running Fisk's campaign kind of knows that she's dating Murdock, because he got the signature in the book and all. Like, he's clearly got something going on with that with her. So,
and then the one kid from Wednesday, that's the kid from Wednesday, the Netflix show, like the kid that was
I've never watched Wednesday.
I really need help.
That kid.
New clients. Yeah, so that guy's in Wednesday.
Okay.
That most likely that guy's Muse, more than likely.
I'm pretty sure that was already spoiled in the previews that is Muse.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, I thought just even in that small stretch, like, I thought he did really very well.
He was definitely creepy.
Yeah, he definitely seemed like obsessed, or like had this like
stalker energy.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and that's what they kind of made you believe. And she's like, I have a new client or whatever. I thought it was gonna be that kid.
What I like about it so far is it has the intrigue of like a crime show, like a Law and Order. Whereas like where She-Hulk kind of felt short was they leaned more into superhero when they claimed it was going to be a lawyer show.
Right.
This is
Matt Murdock killing people in court is super entertaining. So,
right. And this is what She-Hulk was missing. Was if you're going to tell us that is a lawyer show, this is what it should feel like, where the superhero stuff, the vigilante stuff is on the back burner, and your focus is on the corruption and the investigation, and what are we going to find out about these different characters. By like White Tiger, we now know like what he's doing, like
we need to figure out the mystical amulet and like how he got it. Like there's more to his character too that we have no idea about.
Right. But for now you feel kind of the way that the second episode ended was like a oh shit moment, because the whole point of this, like what they're alluding to so far in these first two episodes is, so Fisk gets elected. Matt decides to defend this guy because he heard him getting beat and yelled at by cops. He goes into the room and then decides to just be the defense lawyer because that way the show can happen. So
he does that in the Netflix shows. He just walks in and he's like, "I'm going to represent you," and they're like, "I can't afford anyone," and he's like, "Don't worry about it."
Right.
Like,
I know, but it was just one of those where he's like, "Oh, I hear something. I get it. I get that that's what he's doing, but like he chose to go in and gonna defend this guy because he thinks he's being mistreated, which he's right. He's correct.
That is exactly how he meets Karen for the first time. Karen's getting assaulted, and basically he like brings her to the police station or whatever, and him and Foggy walk in, and they're like, Foggy was like pursuing a bigger case, and he's like, we're taking this case, and he's like, this is just some lady who was mugged, and he's like, no, there's more to it. And so that's exactly like how it happened in the very first episode.
Well, he decides to defend this guy who is a cop killer, but really it was these two guys beating up a supposedly innocent man. This guy decides to like, hey, what are you doing? They tell him to stop. He fights off these two guys. The guy getting beat up runs away. One of the two guys gets killed by the train because he falls onto the train tracks. And then when he turns around, the other guy says NYPD, hands up. So basically he was fighting two cops, or at least one, but yeah, two cops.
Two cops, yep.
And the other guy ran away, and now this guy's being framed saying it was, no, we weren't beating up anybody. This guy just attacked us two out of nowhere and killed my partner.
Right.
And then, so then this court case is Matt defending a cop killer. So the public is against him, saying, why would you defend a cop killer? And Fisk has been told now by 3 separate people in the show that you have to, if you win over the cops, you win over the city. And we know that the commissioner dislikes him. But otherwise, you know, the judge wouldn't even listen to Murdoch in the beginning. So you know that the court is already favoring the NYPD side. And it ends with Matt doing with the help of his team. And the second episode is him finally finding this guy who ran away that the cops are beating up.
Was in hiding. Yeah. The guy they were originally. Yep.
He helps the guy escape. And we don't know if the guy decided to run to the park where he told him to go.
The detective was Detective Cherry.
Yeah, we don't know if he ran to where Cherry was. We know he ran away though, so we don't know if he's actually going to show up. But then the two cops show up, including the corrupt cop, like one of the.
And Matt's just standing there smiling.
Right, but Matt arrogantly, like, he's talking shit to them, being all smug about, no, I don't know where he went. Sorry, I'm visually impaired. They fight, like they beat up Matt, and then the guy tells him, do it. He's like, he's a lawyer. So then clearly Matt knows, oh, they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
So then Matt has to fight back. He breaks the one guy's arm, but then he clearly kills the other cop.
Yeah, at least that's what you think. He threw a pretty large crunch on the ground. He
slammed him on his head, and his neck went back. Yeah. Like, he clearly broke the dude's neck, probably killed the cop. So now, in a case where he's defending a cop killer, he's going to have to say he just did self-defense against the cop, but this guy, in my opinion, is not going to show up to court. So then Matt's going to be saying that he was self-defense against this guy who we can't get his own self-testimony. So now Matt's going to be a problem. They're not going to let him be the lawyer in this case.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, he could hide it too. I don't know. Like, I don't know how
I think they're setting it up for, like, in this moment, I don't know how Matt can win in any chance. Like, even if the guy shows up to court, I don't think it's going to go well. And then it's obviously that's when Fisk is going to win over, because he's going to show up to court and defend the cops and win over the NYPD.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
see. I mean, Frank Castle, they also made sure to show that the cop had a Punisher tattoo.
Right.
On his wrist.
We mentioned when we talked about the final preview sneak peek, I mentioned Spider-Man. And we said there's no way, so we probably won't see him. We made that decision last time. We agreed there probably wouldn't be him, but they did mention Spider-Man, which I was like, awesome. So they mentioned Daredevil, and they mentioned Spider-Man, and they mentioned Punisher,
right?
And
White Tiger. So like, we got and Bullseye. Like, we got a bunch of vigilantes out there,
right? But Bullseye's not really a vigilante. He's a villain. Because he's not doing any, like, justice. He's
killing 13, 11. He's doing, like, killing 11 people. So.
Yeah. So it's set up to make you think Fisk is going to win, Matt's going to lose, and there's really no way out of it. Like, I can already see where his girlfriend is going to not trust him. Fisk is going to say, I told you this was going to happen.
Right.
He's going to not be able to, he's going to lose the case because he's going to lose his ability to defend. This guy's not going to run to the park, so he's not going to show up. Cherry's going to have to find him, and they're like going to have to do things. Like, you can already see all of this happening. So I'm hoping that we get some twists, because if all of that happens, or even 90% of that happens, that is way too predictable. Like, I need some unpredictability, and so far they're painting a picture to say these are all the things that are going to happen, which you can do, but you can't have all those things happen. It's too much to give away and foreshadow. Like, you can't have your foreshadowing be so obvious. So I'm a little nervous. But and then the other big important thing that I can't wait to find out more is Mrs. Fisk.
Yeah. Yeah, because they tease that he was like, I know about Adam, and then she basically like I don't like in the therapist session, she basically just flaunts that in front of him. It was very it was like awkward.
Yeah.
Too. Like it was just awkward, and then obviously Fisk killed him because like right after that, like he's like, don't hurt him or don't kill him. And he's like, I promise. And then it showed his like liaison, or not liaison, but his like specialist talking to him, and his hand purposely showed his hands bloodied or like scabbed or bruised or whatever, like his knuckles.
So he promised he wouldn't do it, but doesn't mean he wouldn't
Did
have
beat the
somebody
shit
else
out of him,
do
and
it.
then right, he definitely hit him. He definitely probably beat the shit out of him. So yeah. As far as the like going back to like the predictability, I think the twists are gonna be like Frank Castle and Muse. Like I don't know where they fit in yet. And like Muse is like was seen painting a couple pictures and murals and stuff, but like how does he fit into the story at all? Because obviously like he painted the Kingpin Two-Face thing on the side of the building. So like does he know about all that? Like does he know about that corruption? But like obviously he seems like a bad dude. So like I don't know. And then when does Frank Castle come in? So it's like, and what's going on with Frank Castle? Because obviously he's like unhinged, his beard's grown out and his hair's long. Like, so yeah, I'm curious to see like what exactly happens. And then if if Kingpin decides to like ban vigilantism, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and make them like all vigilantes are bad. We need to trust the cops. I think that's something that you could see going forward too.
Oh, we did get an Echo reference as well.
We did, yeah. Yeah, he got shot in the face, yeah, by a vigilante, yeah.
Right, by the kid who was trying
Presumed
to mentor.
Daughter. Right.
I don't have any kids, but I did try to mentor somebody, and then didn't she shoot you in the face?
Yeah.
And Matt was cocky there as well.
Yeah, Matt did his research he knew it a little bit.
That's when Fisk asked him, like, you've been keeping tabs on me.
Yeah. Of course.
So yeah, and this is like a lot of the stuff that we're talking about enjoying is second episode. Like,
right.
One consistent thing here is like it took a jump in the second episode, in my opinion. I don't know how many people are going to watch that first episode and say, I have to watch the second episode. I think that's where they're going to have issues. But anybody that watches the second episode, I think, is going to go, I have to watch the third episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't feel like that at all. Like I loved every second of all of it.
Yeah,
and I understand that it was like slower, but at the same time, like
I 100%. When I was thinking about it today, I was like, Joe's not going to feel the same way as I do about this.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I watch everything. I don't like. I guess I don't necessarily think about like the predictability, and I hope they don't do this or don't do that. Like I just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I thought the audio was great. I thought they did a couple unnecessary camera choices, which, it's fine. You gotta take risks, do something weird occasionally. But outside of all that, I think they did a really good job when it came to after episode 1. Everything after that I was good, and the first 15 minutes of episode 1 I liked. But outside of the last 45 minutes of episode 1 is the only issue so far for me. Everything else I've liked every second of that. I also would love to see how they change Muse, because they've shown a consistency of changing characters from the comics versus the show. Maybe because Muse is a mass serial killer in the comics. So is he going to be like more individual, break it like solo targets?
Sure.
Is it going to be like preemptive, like he does the art first and then kills the person after?
Right.
So anybody that sees
I want to say
art,
he paints with blood. I like from what I've known from the comics. I want to say he paints with blood, and so I think he's got to get that blood from somewhere.
Sure. I
From
don't
his
know.
victims.
But I do I think that audio wise, like was expected, audio was really good, and it just feels like a real show. It feels really like it could be happening now, which always helps you feel a little bit more involved in it and believable, and you are interested in what's happening to each character. I really am interested to see where they go with each one, including the side characters. There's a couple side characters already that I feel like are expendable, which is always interesting. My favorite part about the show, again, I want to stay positive because we always do our best to stay positive. So I'm even surprised myself at my lack of interest in episode 1. But my favorite thing so far about the show has been interactions with Kingpin. Every character that interacts with him, that has to be on purpose. I'm sure it is not just happenstance. I'm sure it's not a coincidence. Every character that interacts with him looks scared. Even the characters that seem to have a little bit of leeway or control in the situation look scared of him. In his first interaction with his wife, she's even saying, like, I've taken control of this company and done well or whatever, but she looks terrified of him.
Yeah, you just cleared the room by walking in.
Yeah.
But they still obviously have a lot of fear and respect or of him. Like,
Yeah.
she may be the top dog, but like he's the top dog. Like,
every moment he's there, somebody seems like they're terrified of him. And I think there's a couple characters that were being kept in the dark a little bit on purpose. His campaign assistant that is not the dude that's just overtly doing bad things.
I think one of them is like Burke.
What's her name?
Burke, Daniel, and the lady. The woman,
lady is the one we're not really hearing seeing much about her. Like, she seems totally innocent. She seems like just a regular campaign advisor.
Yeah, I'm just here. Yeah.
I feel like there is something deeper with her that we do not know yet. Like, she to me seems like the one that they're going to throw something at us and it's going to be her. And I'm going to be like, what? No way. And I feel like,
I also think that it's one of those points where Kingpin doesn't like what she says and could just snap. And all of a sudden Daniel's in that role.
Yeah.
For him too. And then Burke is just like, I think his name's Burke. It's just like his right-hand man. Like,
for sure. Yep.
Yeah. He's doing all the dirty work while he's being in the face. Yeah.
Daniel's an interesting character. He seems half comic relief, half like
prodigy,
brainwashed cult follower prodigy. Yeah, however you want to put it. Yeah. He definitely he seems like 100%. I would do anything for Fisk. It's interesting to me. And I noticed that your name in our little meeting here is Foggy with a Chance.
Yeah.
Do you think he has a
Foggy
chance?
It was Foggy with a Chance of Bullseye is what my full name was. It kept going. So
got it. Because I saw that in the release that season 2 is happening no matter what. They said that the actor playing Foggy is going to return.
Sure.
And I was like, so flashback? Or
yeah, probably. Yeah.
Or is this to throw off the scent for anybody that hasn't watched it? But I thought that was pretty interesting that they would say that, and I was like, it has to be a flashback, or this is a way to like make people not realize that haven't watched it yet.
Sure.
But are you surprised that I wasn't a fan of the first?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think
because I mean, historically, throughout all of our ratings, I think every single one, maybe one, I've had a higher rating than what you've given. So like
Sure.
historically through this,
I've seen all the Daredevils too.
right. Yeah.
I've seen all the Daredevils, and so like I knew, I was right there. I've seen all the Netflix projects, so like I was right there seated as like a continuation of that as well, but just in the MCU and MCUified. But you're right; it does feel like a actual show.
Yeah. Yep.
Like even just like the camera work and what revolves around like all the lawyer stuff is similar to like there's a bunch of lawyer shows, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, like Law and Order,
yeah,
NCIS,
right.
CSI.
Yeah, and you very much get a like lawyer by day, Daredevil by night kind of thing.
Right.
Which I think is cool because there's like two lives he is living.
It definitely
And
feels
now-
street level, 100%.
Right. And so, and you get it does feel a little bit like that as She-Hulk too. Like She-Hulk was in a firm, but it was more just like comedy the whole time
It was. Yep.
in She-Hulk. Whereas like this, you actually feel like, all right, like we're actually doing cases and stuff. Like there's important cases that are happening. So, I guess for your disinterest, like I think just it's, I don't know. I was very excited for all this, and like the critic rating had it at like a 78, which is very good.
Yeah,
which
I
is
still
very
think,
good.
Yeah. A lot of people say
and-
that in Rotten Tomatoes scores that's not good. Anything below a 90 for Rotten Tomatoes for TV shows usually is a death wish, because
Right.
78 is lower than any Daredevil Netflix season.
Right. And I mean that's fine, but it's also like a little bit MCUified. Like there's a lot more swearing in this, which is super
Mm-hmm.
cool because like real people swear.
Yeah,
Like
they do.
we do a lot, and so it makes sense. But yeah, I think 78 is based off the first episode, not the first two episodes, not the entire season. So yeah, I expect it to just kind of go uphill for here.
Right. If they keep
I
on
think
the trajectory
this is
that they've done, it's just going to keep getting better.
So this is like how the if you think of, I'm gonna do a hand motion even though you can't see it. Season 3 like peaked at the end of Daredevil. Season 3 peaked at the end, and you're getting the there hasn't been much Daredevil content for like a while, and so like that curve of it peaking there has been falling, and
Sure.
so like you finish that story. You finished that story, which wasn't finished, I guess, with Bullseye. You finished that at the end of this episode, or at the start, in the middle of episode 1. Like you finished that.
Sure.
Obviously, Bullseye is still around. Like Bullseye's still alive, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But you finished that, and now you got to build that roller coaster back up. And I think that's that kind of the filler of episode 1 is that lull, and now you're building it back up to get to that peak again. So yeah, I don't know, I'm very excited for where it goes. Where do I think it goes next is how did it end? How him kill him, yeah,
standing in the apartment after
stuff.
killing a cop.
Yeah. I think he's got to get this. I mean, he's got to get his, like, he's been holding around that devil horn. He's been holding around that devil horn that Karen gave him.
Yeah.
So I think that's like going to be his inspiration to be like, all right, I may have to get back into it.
And I threw away my red helmet, so I guess I'm gonna have to go yellow.
Yeah. He's got that yellow one.
I mean, we're assuming he still has the yellow one.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see, because I know that like there's the black and red one, which we haven't seen, and that one would be sick.
I would
by
love
the end
that.
of it. So yeah, we'll see. I think that's where it goes next.
He's definitely going to get a costume change.
Oh yeah,
like he's going to get his MCU costume,
right?
Which I'm hoping Bullseye gets one as well,
right?
Because his current costume looks dumb as hell.
Yeah, that one was more like I'm gonna stay dark and hidden kind of.
Right. His current costume, looked like
I put this together in 15 minutes after walking into a Goodwill. Like,
yeah, and it looked
right.
like if you or I were to say we're gonna become a killer, and that's what we're gonna wear. Like that's
Right.
it's just it felt real, but I would like a little bit more of a intimidating villain costume.
There's so many, like, and I don't necessarily mean this in a bad way, but there's a lot of things they can do. Like you have to figure out how to resolve Karen and how to resolve, like, obviously Frank Castle's coming in, which you don't have to finish his story. You don't have to resolve his story, but you got to bring him in and have it make sense.
Sure.
Muse, too. White Tiger, which I think is going to probably, like, that's not going to be an easy resolution. It's going to be kind of the lawyer part of it throughout the entirety of the series. And then, like, Fisk just still flying high.
You still have Fisk's marriage and Heather as side stories?
Yeah. You have Fisk's marriage, but also, like, he's still running. Like, he still's like, I'm going to be doing this mayor thing, and there can't be any ties to this bad business.
Right.
Like, or to the bad part. But, like, still do the bad part. Like, it's got to be clean.
Which, so far, Heather is the tie to everyone. Heather is the tie to Muse. Heather is the tie to Fisk and his wife. Heather is the tie to Matt.
Right.
Like, the only one not connected is White Tiger with Heather so far. And even then, like, they have a marriage issue. So we might find out that they were seeing her as well.
Sure.
So I think she is kind of that glue at the moment, so that that's an easy person to pick as the future storyline. Like, Muse becomes her target. Kingpin targets Muse because she has information about him that he doesn't want out, and Matt targets Kingpin and Muse because he needs to protect her.
Woman. Yeah, right.
So I think she's going to be an easy, like, pivot point and, like, anchor point for stories. So I'm glad that they picked somebody who is doing really well so far. And of course, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, everybody involved so far. I don't know the woman who plays Mrs. Fisk, but whatever her name is,
Vanessa.
She is like a perfect casting. I thought, like, she has the same.
Well, what they originally recast her. Okay. And then during reshoots, they're like, no, we have to keep the continuity in check. And then they brought her back.
Dude, she's badass.
Yeah.
She seems powerful, but innocent. Like, she's badass. I like her a lot.
Like, if you watch the Daredevil show, like the Daredevil shows in Netflix, like, it took her a while. Like, she basically was like, I know you have a lot of, like, mental issues with Kingpin, but stood by his side and basically learned the ropes on, like, how he has done things. And she's adapted that, like, kind of style as well. And so, like, now she's been in it for so long that, like, she gets it. And so now her character has gone through a lot, but also, like, doing it flawlessly.
Ayelet Zerer. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but yeah, that's who plays Vanessa Fisk.
Sure.
The woman who plays Kirsten, Nikki James, also surprised me at how much I like her. She's very good. And then the one that I'm in, one of the characters I'm intrigued at, because, like, clearly with the cutscenes, like BB News.
Oh, BB Urich.
BB is clearly what's going to go on with her.
Right, because Kingpin killed her dad.
Right. So Kingpin killed her dad, and
he was very respectful about it, though. Like Ben was like, "You're gonna kill me now," and he's like, "Yeah, but I mean, like, we could talk for a little." Like, and so, like, him and Ben basically had this, like, conversation, and, like, Kingpin did respect him and was like, "Listen, you're doing your job as a reporter, but also, like, you're fucking with me."
Yeah,
and
you reported on the wrong thing.
Yeah, so he's like, I gotta kind of wipe this slate clean, but
like,
I have a lot of respect for you.
So far, what side is she on? What side is she playing? Like, she probably knows this information, but she's acting as if she's on his side.
Right.
I don't know. I'm interested. She never tried to get her phone back either.
Sure.
So it makes me feel like that was a decoy phone or bugged it. Yeah. And there's something more with her, which I really want to see, because, like, she could also be a wild card. Again, they laid a really good foundation. So no matter how bored I got, part of it is probably working overtime every week and staying up late. Like part of it could just be my mental going
Yeah,
into watching it.
I watched it at like noon or 11:30
Yeah,
today.
because when I watched it today, I sat in my car on break and watched it.
Sure.
So I was, daytime in a relaxed mode. Like I probably enjoyed it a little bit more. So part of it's probably just like my own mental state. But from episode 2 and on, I feel like I'm going to enjoy every second of it. For those of you who don't like slow burns, just get through the first episode. I know slow burn is like a really hit and miss category of show, podcast, books. This is one of those. I think episode 1 is slow burn. Episode 2 throws you right into it and gets you like right what you want to see. And I think killed it. So I'm really excited for the rest of the season. I don't really have too much else to add on it outside of there's a lot of different ways it can go, a lot of different variables, and I think they did a really good job of setting it up.
I think the best part is that since they announced that there's a season 2, they don't have to resolve every storyline.
Right.
Which
is the right way to do it.
And Punisher's supposedly getting its own spin-off show.
It also means they can tease. They can do like Kristen Ritter can be a post-credit scene.
Right. Like, wow, you look like shit. Like that's like Matt walking into her she's like a detective.
It also means you can have Fisk win. You can have Kingpin win at the end of season 1.
Yeah, he could ban vigilantism and
and maybe Jessica Jones isn't the only one that walks up to him and says, "Hey."
Yeah, like her and Luke Cage could be together. He could answer a door and there'd be a little boy there.
Maybe there's 3 or 4 people that walk up to Matt and go to his apartment and say, "Hey, we'd like to defend the city with you." Maybe there's this guy in like a green jacket and white headband over his face, or yellow headband over his face.
I think it'd be so cool if he like knocked on a place and it's the Heroes for Hire and he walks into it and it's Luke Cage and Danny Rand like, Matt, and then like a little boy runs out and Jessica's chasing him and she's like, wow, you look like shit. Like that's all you need.
And I know they've already done it in the Netflix show, but if Muse ever decides to paint a red hand on a wall.
Yeah, I mean, Elektra, it's part of it too.
Yeah,
like,
I would be totally fine with that.
Matt's a freaking player, all right?
Yeah,
he Karen asked him, she's like, you want to get out of here? And
right,
Matt's
first
like,
episode,
no.
Karen wants to do him.
It's the entirety of it, man.
The whole time I'm watching, I want to do him.
What?
Charlie Cox is a good-looking dude. He has like that innocent face to him.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, he's going to treat me.
He can do everything,
going to treat
man.
me right.
Like, he can do the sad. He can do the angry. He can do any girl that walks by. Like, he can do anything.
Pretty much, dude.
Yeah.
If they walk, they want Matt Murdock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They want Matt Murdock's Matt
Cock. Yes. They want a Murdock Doc. They want a Doc Murdock. Jeez, we're spiraling. See, that's what we got to feed throughout the show. We got to be less serious and more doc.
You got to remember this point right here
and
put that as a short.
Yeah, they want Matt. If it walks, it wants the doc cock. The Murdoch cock. God dang it. Oh, well, let us know. Did you feel the same about episodes 1 and 2 as we did? Do you lean more towards Joe, where you liked every second of it? Lean more towards me, where you liked half of it, or like you didn't like the beginning but loved the second half? Maybe you liked the slow burn part but thought the second episode was lame. I don't know why you would think that, but hey, those people are probably out there. And what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think it's going to be predictable and they're going to kind of lean where they foreshadowed, or do you think they're going to hit us with a twist? Is Punisher going to show up sooner rather than later? How is Matt going to get out of this predicament that he's in next time on Dragon Ball Z? yeah, I don't know what are they going to do from here. Let us know what you think. And again, like we said in the beginning, like, comment, subscribe, all the things that every YouTuber reminds you of. Even though the button's there constantly, apparently people need to be reminded. Yeah, honestly, just if you want to, go ahead. If not, it's all right. We'll live. Just want to let you know though, you do look great today. GG.
GG. Matt Murdock and cock.
Matt Murdock's cock.
Nice cock.
Nice cock. Nice Murdock.